Hey guys, it's me, it's Tim from TJ Wrestling, back again with another video. This time is episode 1 of the Smackdown reviews. 1, and then we're going to keep going until episode 237 of this show. So this is going to be a fun experience. So let's go. Anyways, this is the first ever, well, pre-branded station show, because it's the last one with the brands together, which means that Raw will be featured on the show for the last time, as well as Ric Flair and also Triple H, who was a free agent going in. So let's get into this episode. We start off in our first segment where we have Kurt Angle arrive. Obviously, there's a couple of superstars here vying to be the number one contender for Triple H's Undisputed Championship, which, as we know, he can defend. Mr. McMahon will choose, due to the coin toss for some shenanigans, he will choose who Triple H will fight at Backlash, coming up in 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, I think. So that was kind of the story going into the show, the main event story. Triple H would appear at the show. Also, after we see Mr. McMahon come out, basically Mr. McMahon and Kurt Angle Kurt Angle's looking up saying that Mr. McMahon was great, and it's really sad that she's gone. Mr. McMahon saying that the only reason that she was any bad things she did were because of Triple H. He's reasoning that Triple H was the cause of all of the problems. Yes, entertaining. And then Triple H comes out and basically goes, "Oh yes, I'm a badass," and says, "Yes, I will do bad things. That is me." I really like this Triple H. He's kind of like one of my favorite incarnations of Triple H, just because he's such a badass. After the DX for Triple H, I love him as a heel. He's a very fitting heel, I suppose, and the way he walks around is pretty much badass. And yeah, basically he'll do all bad things, but again, he does get a cheer here, because if you're going in a segment against Mr. McMahon, of course you're going to get a cheer. So yes, Triple H going in there. Then he comes out with Ric Flair. I suppose he is a face, actually, now that I think of it. But he is a badass, and yeah, I really like it. So he's with Ric Flair, and they decide that they're going to have a match tonight, a tag team match, with Ric Flair and Triple H versus Mr. McMahon and Kurt Angle, a sort of grudge match of sorts. So yeah, it's real entertaining going forward. So that's the big kind of 20-minute opening segment. Then we get into our first match, which is, I believe, Booker T versus Diamond Dallas Page. We all know these are two previous WCW superstars, and yeah, they've had a lot of history, I suppose. And yeah, this match was pretty underwhelming, though. It was a quick one. Page wins by DQ after Brock Lesnar arrives. Obviously, we know we can't really get too excited about Brock Lesnar, because he is, of course, a Raw superstar at the moment, but he will transition to SmackDown in the future, so keep your eyes on him. Basically, he hits a F5 and the match is off. Then I think we get another segment after this, if I'm not mistaken. Or we'll go cut to this first. We got Billy Gunn and Chuck Palumbo, Billy and Chuck, who are like a gay couple. We're actually a pretty entertaining tag team who get quite a good cheer from the crowd, taking on the Dudley Boyz. The story going into this is a little video package beforehand. Basically, the Dudley Boyz have been drafted to 2 separate shows, and if they lose tonight, they will be going to 2 separate shows. It's in Philadelphia. We're wondering, will they get the win? For me, I was thinking they would get the win, but in fact, they actually lose. And Gunn defeats Bubba Ray with the Famouser after Rico, who is the manager of Billy Chuck, came out and basically took out, I believe, Bubba Ray. But after the match, we do get a feel-good moment, because the Dudley Boyz hit the last ever 3D with the table, and also the move where Devon goes down, and you know what I'm talking about. But moving on, another little backstage segment, because we get the A.P.A, who are also splitting ways after the draft. The draft is splitting a lot of teams up, so they're kind of an end of the era show, to be honest, in a way. And basically, yeah, they are in backstage. They're having one last party and decide how to get together. We see Tori Wilson and Tajiri come out, who are a couple at the time. Basically, they tell Tajiri to get all the drink and basically go away for the get together, where there's going to play cards and all, and get a few of the superstars and just have one last time together. And we all know how that's going to end. Then Tori Wilson sits down with them, and they agree to play strip poker. Tori Wilson is presented as a bit of a empty in the head, I suppose, blonde, stupid, but yeah, she's beautiful, and yeah, what can I say? Moving on, before I get too distracted by that, we have our next match, which is Hulk Hogan, The Rock, and Kane against the NWO. Before this, we saw Hulk Hogan and The Rock. Of course, this is after their WrestleMania 18, and they're good on terms now. They see Kane, and they have the weirdest segment, because Kane, basically, he what can I say? He was weird in the segment, to be honest. He was quite weird, you know, saying that he basically would reenact what The Rock and Hulk Hogan do and say he was going to be on good terms with them. I don't really like this Kane because he's not really mysterious. He's talking. He's basically being a comedic joke. He's not presented as high up as he was, but he actually was pretty good in this match, so I can't really doubt it. Anyways, of course, the Phil amount, Hulk Hogan, Rock, and Kane get the win after Kane is a chokeslam on an X-Pac, and the NWO are shunned from SmackDown. Next match, we have Chris Jericho against Matt Hardy. Before this, we had a segment where Matt Hardy was glad to see Lita on the same show as him. Chris Jericho comes out, and basically Matt Hardy calls him a has-been, which I don't really understand because Chris Jericho has only been on WWE for 2 years, so how can you really call him a has-been? I know he's been around for longer than that, but I guess the mentality is that he is a sort of, I suppose, a sort of mentor for the younger stars, and he's kind of ahead of them. So, of course, this match is pretty short. Jericho hits the walls of Jericho, which is my favourite walls of Jericho because it's like the line tamer with the leg. You know what I'm talking about. Jericho wins this match. Gains a bit of respect from it as well. I'm wondering to see where he goes. Jericho's one of my favourite superstars even back then. Really entertaining to watch. Really charismatic superstar. And he's always entertaining on mic. Do we have a segment between this? Yes, we have the A.P.A. Just hanging out with the lads. Christian is really angry. He has like these mental sort of he has these tantrums, I guess, temper tantrums, I want to say, and yeah, that's pretty apparent here. Yeah, he just gets really angry in this segment. It's really funny. Next we have Chris Jericho, sorry, I did that right there, what am I saying? We have Rob Van Dam against Test for the Intercontinental Championship. Rob Van Dam beats Test, and with a sunset flip to retain the championship and keep it on Raw. Next we have Raven against Maven, which is going to be a little bit confusing, for the Hardcore Championship. So this match was basically a warm-up for the Maven. Basically, that people were set out to get Maven because, I suppose, they don't really like Maven. McMahon doesn't really like Maven. He's a young star. They want to kind of like, I suppose he's green, so they want to kind of like set him up in business by, I guess, welcoming him with a lot of pain, so he gets put up against all the other superstars. I suppose they're doing a little bit of marketing for Tough Enough, which is on after the show, by having on such late in the show, so primetime TV. Basically, Raven destroys Maven. Yeah, Maven's run on the company, I don't think it lasted very long, to be honest. I can see why, because, yeah, he had some qualities to him, but he was pretty bland, I'd say, on like in terms of character. He was a grand wrestler, but yeah, you could see where they kind of felt he wasn't the greatest bring up from Tough Enough. Yeah, Tough Enough was kind of a flop as well. As we can see nowadays, when they brought the series back, it was quite bad. But anyways, let's get to our last segment with the A.P.A. because they basically ended it. And yeah, it was really entertaining to see. And yeah, sad to see the A.P.A. go part ways. But basically, they do it in grand style by destroying the wrestlers in the ring. Anyways, do we have any more like kind of promos to talk about outside the ring? I can't really remember. I suppose Christian, I was in backstage segment, I can't remember though. Let's go to the main event though, because yeah, let's just go to the main event. We got Kurt Angle and Mr. McMahon against Ric Flair and Triple H. This was, of course, started at the start of the show, was mentioned. So let's get to this match because it was a pretty strong, decent match. Again, it's not going to be as good as next week, which was a good, decent match, but this was a pretty alright match. I didn't mind it too much. They gave ample room for each superstar to show themselves in this one, and again, Mr. McMahon and Ric Flair were not too, I suppose, emphasise this one. It was the effort was put on Kurt Angle and Triple H. I don't mind those two either too much. I love Kurt Angle, actually. He's a great wrestler and really entertaining in the ring. He's the best wrestler on this show. Anyways, this one went 9 minutes, and basically it ended with Undertaker coming out and helping Mr. McMahon get the win on Ric Flair, and basically again shunning away the Raw superstars. So the SmackDown do triumph on the show, and Raw do kind of concede. Fittingly, I suppose, it gives a good head start for SmackDown now going into next week, the first ever first proper show. So yeah, this is really entertaining, and it was really cool to see. So there you go. That was SmackDown episode 1, I suppose. Well, not really. It's kind of like episode 0.5, but let's not complicate things too much. So yeah, there goes. That was SmackDown. That was a really entertaining one. It was kind of like a go home for the Raw team, and yeah, I really liked it. Again, next week we'll kind of have that build up to Backlash. This one kind of started off and kind of showed us. Oh yes, I forgot one major thing. I think Mr. McMahon will announce the superstar next week, who will be taking on, I suppose, taking on Triple H. Yeah, so that's gonna be interesting to see next week. Also, yeah, this is a really good show. Showed a lot of superstars, spotlighted a lot of them, and really gave them a lot of room to work with. Go home for the Devon. That was a lovely moment with the Dudley Boyz to parting ways, and also A.P.A. And again, a lot of main event superstars are really interesting to see. I love the backstage segments. They're my favourite things ever. The wrestling inside the ring is sometimes bad with short matches, but also sometimes really good. With the, I want to say the tag team match was pretty good, and also, I really enjoyed the I can't remember the one before the main event, the kind of like the match before the main event, which I can't remember what it was, but yeah, Edge, and it wasn't Edge, but it was someone else in the ring. It was really good. Let me just sort to my thing here. I thought Chris Jericho at Matt Hardy was pretty good, and also the tag team match with the NWO. That was really interesting. And there's such great superstars on the show. Storylines are going to build up nicely and well. There's lots in there for everybody. That's all my notes, really. Any downers on the show, I would say, not particularly, I don't think. I think it was a pretty decent show. I would say that Raven and Maven, the whole treatment of Maven was pretty entertaining, but not really helping anybody, if you know what I mean. It's not really constructive helping. It's sort of like just burying Maven on TV. Mr. McMahon really like him. Also, the behaviour of Mr. McMahon really annoys me at points, because he's kind of an idiot on as a GM. He's not really making clear decisions, to be honest. He's doing well for himself, yes, don't get me wrong, in matches, but some of the decisions he's making, like, for instance, you know, him like basically Kurt Angle basically telling him what to do, and the fact that, you know, he is kind of as weird with the lady, let me say. So yeah, kind of a weird GM. Not really liked by the fans, but I guess that's sort of entertaining in a way. But he's kind of a shell of what he was the Attitude Era, in my opinion. Let's see, what superstars don't I really like that much? I would say, not really any of them. I think they were really decent superstars, to be honest. No problems with that. So that's it for me, guys. Really good, solid SmackDown, my show. I'm really putting momentum forward to next week. I'll see you all next week. Thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.